Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Little guy back again. Today I'm going to do a video. I'm not going to do much talking. I'm just going to show everybody this is who Kamala Harris is. Go ahead and play this first.
I do not believe you are a racist. And I agree with you when you commit yourself to the importance of finding common ground. But I also believe, and it's personal, and it was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of two United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country. And it was not only that, but
She's speaking
you
facts.
also worked with them to oppose busing.
Look, everything I've done in my career, I ran because of civil rights. I continue to think we have to make fundamental changes in civil rights. And those civil rights, by the way, include not just only African Americans, but the LGBT community.
But Vice President Biden, do you agree today that you were wrong to oppose busing in America? Then, do you agree?
I did not oppose busing in America. What I opposed
He's lying. He's lying.
is busing ordered by the Department of Education. That's what I opposed.
Well,
I
there
did
was
not
a
oppose.
failure of states to integrate
No,
public
but-
schools in America. I was part of the second class to integrate Berkeley, California public schools almost 2 decades after Brown v. Board of Education.
Because your city council made that decision. It was a
So
local
that's where the
decision.
federal government must step in. That's why we have the Voting Rights Act, the Civil Rights Act. That's why we need to pass the Equality Act. That's why we need to pass the ERA, because there are moments in history where states fail to preserve the civil rights of all people.
She's absolutely right about that. Now let's go to this little clip here. Oops.
Been quite critical of Vice President Biden's policies on race, specifically on the issue of busing in the 1970s, having benefited from busing when you were a young child. Vice President Biden says that your current position on busing, you're opposed to federally mandated busing, that position is the same as his position. Is he right?
That is simply false. And let's be very clear about this. When Vice President Biden was in the United States Senate working with segregationists to oppose busing, which was
she's
the
right.
vehicle by which we would integrate America's public schools. Had I been in the United States Senate at that time, I would have been completely on the other side of the aisle. And let's be clear about this. Had those segregationists their way, I would not be a member of the United States Senate, Cory Booker would not be a member of the United States Senate, and Barack Obama would not have been in a position to nominate him to the title he now holds.
Those are Biden's
And
mentors.
so, on that issue, we could not be more apart, which is that the Vice President has still failed to acknowledge that it was wrong to take the position that he took at that time. Now, I would like to also talk about this conversation about Eric Garner, because I too met with his mother. And one of the things that we've got to be clear about is that this President of the United States, Donald Trump, while he has been in office, has quietly been allowing the United States Department of Justice to shut down consent decrees, to stop pattern and practice investigations. On that case, we also know that the Civil Rights Division, this is important, the Civil Rights Division of the United States Department of Justice said charges should have been filed, but this United States Department of Justice was usurped, and I believe it is because that president did not want those charges to go forward, and they overrode a decision by the Civil Rights Division of the United States Department
Trump didn't override anything.
of Justice. Under my administration, the Civil Rights Division will reign, and there will be independent
Vice President
investigations.
Biden, I want to give you a chance to respond with.
Now remember, after all these allegations she made against him, and all the things she said, they weren't even allegations, they're true. She accepted his vice president nomination, knowing his mentors were Klan members.
Senator Harris said.
When Senator Harris was the Attorney General for 8 years in the state of California, there were 2 of the most segregated school districts in the country, in Los Angeles and in San Francisco. And she did not like him. I didn't see a single solitary time she brought a case against them to desegregate them. Secondly, she also was in a situation where she had a police department when she was there that in fact was abusing people's rights. And the fact she in fact was told by her
She abused people's rights as well.
own people, that her own staff, that she should do something about it, disclose to defense attorneys like me that you in fact have been the police
Would you imagine if Joe Biden was your defense attorney?
officer did something that did not give you information that would exculpate your client.
He's correct. She did hide evidence.
She didn't do that. She never did it. And so what happened? Along came a federal judge and said enough, and he freed 1,000 of these people. Without
Yep, absolutely. Yet he still picked her as his vice president. Weird.
me, Google 1,000 prisoners freed, Kamala Harris.
Thank you, Vice President Biden. Senator Harris, your response.
This is simply not true.
That's absolutely true. She's lying. There's her lie smile.
And as Attorney General of California, where I ran the second largest Department of Justice in the United States, second only to the United States Department of
Who cares how big it is? You were a failure at it.
Justice, I am proud of the work we did, work that has received national recognition for what has been the important work of reforming a criminal justice system and cleaning up the
She didn't reform anything.
consequences of the bills that you passed when you were in the United States Senate for decades.
Well, she's right about that. He did pass laws that held people in jail for longer. But she didn't do anything to clean that up. She's lying.
It was the work of creating one of the first in the nation initiatives around re-entering former offenders and getting them jobs and counseling.
Senator.
I did the work as Attorney General of putting body
Senator.
cameras on special
I wanna
agents
bring
in
in
the state of
Congresswoman
California, and I'm proud of that
I want to
work.
bring in Congresswoman Gabbard. Congresswoman Gabbard, you took issue with Senator Harris
And this is the end of Kamala's career right here.
confronting Vice President Biden at the last debate. You called it a, quote, false accusation that Joe Biden is a racist. What's your response?
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have
These are all facts.
freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California.
She did.
And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in
She
the worst
absolutely
kind of
did
way.
all of those
Thank you,
things.
Congresswoman. Senator Harris, your response.
Paying your bills on time raises your credit score, right? Wrong. In fact, this is one of the
As the elected Attorney General of California, I did the work of significantly reforming the criminal justice system of the
She's
state of 40
lying.
million people,
She's
which
lying.
became a national model for the work that needs to be done.
She's
and
lying.
I am proud of that work.
She's
and I
lying.
am proud of making a decision to not just give fancy speeches or be in a legislative body and give
So now speaking facts is fancy speeches. Okay.
speeches on the floor, but actually doing the work of being in the position to use the power that I had to reform a system that is badly in need of reform. That is why we created
She reformed nothing. I live in California.
initiatives that were about re-entering former offenders and getting them counseling. It is why, and because I know that criminal justice
Thank
system
you,
is so
Senator.
broken, that I am an advocate for what
She didn't do any of those things. She's lying right now.
we need to do to not only decriminalize but legalize marijuana in the United States.
I want to bring Congresswoman Gabbard back in. Your response.
The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you are in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not. And worse yet, in the case of those who were on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them
Yep.
until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that.
That's absolutely facts.
And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
Yep.
Senator Harris.
There's that lie laugh. She's nervous and she doesn't know how to respond because she just got facts just shoved down her throat.
My entire career, I have been personally opposed to the death penalty, and that has never changed. And I dare anybody who is in a position to
She didn't fight to change it though when she was in charge. Weird.
make that decision, to face the people I have faced, to say I will not seek the death penalty. That is my background. That is my work. I am proud of it. I think you can judge people by when they are under fire, and it's not about some fancy opinion on a stage, but when they're in the position to actually make a decision, what do they do?
And she hid evidence that kept a man on death row. That's what she did. And notice how she's completely not addressing that actual issue.
I was in the position of having to decide whether or not to seek a death penalty on cases I prosecuted. I made a very difficult decision that was not popular to not seek the death penalty. History shows that, and I am proud of those decisions.
Senator Harris, thank you very much. Senator Bennett, the question for you.
I have no words. She's just such a liar. And here's the last one.
Kamala Harris's comments from her radio interview with The Breakfast Club are sparking controversy.
Have you ever smoked?
I have.
Okay.
And I inhaled. I did inhale. It was a long time ago.
Harris explains her pro-pot stance and admits that she indulged in the substance while in college. Then this exchange happened.
What does Kamala Harris listen to?
What were you listening to when you was high? Hold on, what's wrong?
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, definitely Snoop. Tupac, for sure.
People quickly jumped on what they saw as a contradiction, given that Tupac and Snoop Dogg were not producing music while she was in college.
You mean as a lie?
Harris graduated from Howard University in 1986 and later got her JD from the University of California in 1989. Tupac's debut album, Tupacalypse Now, came out in 1991, and Snoop's first album, Doggy Style, followed a few years later in 1993. So, if you're just listening to this piece on the radio, it sounds like Harris's memory is mixed up. Or maybe she lied about what her stoner jams were in an attempt to sound cool at a time when more and more Democrats, and even a few Republicans, are on board with legal weed.
I'm not big into marijuana.
That's exactly who Kamala Harris is. She has zero morals whatsoever because she became the VP of someone who was mentored by two Klan members and who supported segregation, but she doesn't care. She laughed about smoking weed when she was in college, but then she locked up people on maximum sentences for just marijuana possession and then kept them past their sentencing time so she could get slave labor out of them, and then lied about it. Right there in that clip, she lied about it when Tulsi Gabbard called her out on it. If anybody has any questions, that's who Kamala Harris is. She's a liar. She's not a justice reformer. She doesn't care about anything but herself. She's very narcissistic, and she's very low intelligence as well. There's no way she's going to be the Democrat nominee. That's why all these elites are pushing for an open convention still, because they know she's going to lose to Trump. Anyway, thanks for joining. Thanks for watching, guys. Leave me a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see everyone in the next one. Take care.